delayed, but it's going to be live soon.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, it looks like we are live. So let's go ahead and call to order this special session of the Auburn City Council for August 7th, 2020. If you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. We'll go ahead and get started with a roll call from our city clerk, please.
Sure. Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Present.
Amara.
Present.
Mackey.
Here.
Spokley.
Here.
And Mayor Berlant.
And I'm here as well. We have a quorum. First item on our agenda is public comment. This is the time provided for anybody who would like to speak to the council on an item that is on the agenda may do so. We have been accepting public comment via email and via telephone, as was posted in the agenda posting itself. So I'll start to see if anybody here would like to make a comment. Not seeing any. I'll ask the city clerk if there is anybody from the public that had put in who had put a request to make comment today.
There is no public comment.
Okay, perfect. With that, then we'll go ahead and get started on our Auburn Economic Recovery Workshop. Our city manager is working to connect as well. I know we've had a little bit of connectivity issues this afternoon, so he should be joining us here momentarily. But the first item on for the workshop is just an update on the health and emergency response update. As I do every Friday, had opportunity with the other mayors and county leaders to get an update from our health officer on where we are with COVID-19. As of today, there are just shy of 2,100 positive cases within Placer County since the start of the pandemic. Now, it's important to note that it's estimated and likely that about 1,800 of those positive cases have likely recovered. And what does that mean in Auburn? We've had 122 positive cases within the 95603 area code. And if you compare that to last week, that puts us up 6. As far as our hospitals, we're at 66 patients in the hospital that have tested positive for COVID, 12 within the ICU. 25 of those 66 are Placer County residents, and 4 out of the 12 in the ICU are Placer County residents. There have been 20 deaths. In fact, this has been a pretty bad week. 5 new fatalities related to COVID, all of which were in long-term care facilities. So these were older residents of our county, and all of them had underlying medical conditions, but still a deadly week for sure. So a couple quick updates that the county updated us on is there has been a statewide data glitch in the computer reporting system between the laboratories that have the tests and the state as well. So it's very likely that they have been undercounting and under-reporting a number of the cases in the last couple of weeks. County officials aren't quite sure how many, and whether or not we'll see a big jump once they fix the data issue, but the state is working to fix the system. We would see a likely data dump, which will likely increase the number of cases that are being reported. During that time period, or this time period, I should say, the monitoring list is frozen. So nobody's coming on and nobody's coming off. So obviously there's a lot of focus on getting the state to rectify the data reporting issues. An update on hospitals. The bed availability remains low, but is a lot better this week. 2 of the hospitals have surged their capacity, meaning they're expanding the number of beds that are staffed. Just to provide it into perspective, on a normal day, there are about 400 beds in our 3 hospitals that are staffed, and about 140 ICU beds. The surge capacity, if it was at full surge capacity, about doubles that number to 1,000. So there's still a lot of capacity as far as the number of beds available, but the staffing of them is not. So I did ask, what is it we can do to help? Because obviously, we're kind of being held to this indicator of having low ICU capacity. And the health officer made it very clear that really hospitals get to surge when hospitals want to surge. How much they surge is up to them as well. And but it was important that she noted too that the ICU capacity metric that keeps us on the monitoring list is really interconnected now with the case rate. So it's not just that ICU capacity is low, it's ICU capacity being low in connection with our case rate. Our case rate, if you go on the website, shows it at 14%, over 14%. The threshold is 8. That's likely just a inflated number due to this little data issue. But she made it very clear that what we can do to help the ICU capacity is really work on lowering the infection rate in the general public, because it's really that case rate that has a more important indicator. Just a couple of quick things I'll try to go through, and then any questions. Discussion continued related to testing. It has improved, but it's still lacking. The wait times to get a test have been reduced. However, results are still taking about 5 days. A couple weeks ago, it was up to 7 days to get a test and almost 7 days to get your results. Now the wait times for a test is anywhere from 1 to 5 days, with results taking 5 days. So still unacceptable, but they are improving it. And the state has launched a state testing task force, and they're working to reduce those tests. So really quick, we talked about the 5 deaths that occurred this week. All of them, as I mentioned, were in long-term care facilities. So what is the county doing for those facilities? These are both skilled nursing centers as well as assisted living facilities. And mostly what they are seeing is cases coming in from workers who are positive but asymptomatic, who then spread it to those residents. And so the bottom line is, while there are a number of guidelines and best practices that are in place for these types of facilities, the best way to reduce infection is really to the general population, so that we can keep the workers in these facilities healthy, who can then make sure that the seniors who are living in them stay healthy as well. One last thing on that I just want to mention is we talked a little bit about schools and youth sports, similar to last week. And Councilmember Dowden Calvillo may have a little bit more, being on a school board herself, but the state did issue a waiver process for elementary schools to be able to open in person. There are a number of requirements, including getting the county health officer to sign off. But the status of that, the county is right now taking those state guidelines and that process and putting it into a county template, and they're likely to release next week the county process for elementary schools, both public and private, that want a waiver. And then just the final thing on youth sports, the state did release this week guidelines on youth sports. Some of those requirements include athletes must remain 6 feet apart, have no contact, have to reduce sharing equipment, no competitions allowed, and those activities must remain outdoors. So that is a very quick and lengthy update on kind of where we are, but I'm happy to answer any questions from that conversation.
Daniel, just to mention on the school front, it is my understanding that the Sacramento Diocese is seeking a waiver for all the private schools within the region. So that would include Auburn. So once that application is ready from the county, I would anticipate that St. Joseph's will be applying for that. Also, as far as the other schools are concerned, I think the big issue really is the testing capacity, because the governor also released guidelines a while ago saying that if schools were to open, that they had to test all their staff on a rotating basis. The problem is the results come back so late, there's limited testing and so forth, that makes it almost impossible for schools to comply with that requirement, even if they had the waiver. So I think it's kind of a wait and see, but definitely at this point, all schools are opening up virtually. And then I'm sure that, as time goes on, each district will decide whether or not they're going to, or when is the most appropriate time to go back to in person. And that, of course, can only happen after the county's been off the monitoring list for 2 weeks. So anyway, my 2 cents.
No, thank you for that, again, with your knowledge of running a school district these days. So any other questions or comments from any of the other council members? Yes,
I
Andy?
might have missed it. What did they say about preschools? Are they open?
No addition to preschools that I'm aware of. No changes here in preschools.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they're not open.
Anything else? Okay, not seeing any additional questions. We'll move on to our next item here, which is our city actions and services. So for the last time, Bob Richardson, I'll hand it over to you to update us on some of the activities that you and your staff have been working on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And actually, thanks to Sherry Conway here, I spent most of my week talking to businesses, following up on complaints. We had quite a long, lengthy list that we had received last week. I didn't get to all of them this week, but did have a number of very good meetings. I think in one case, we have a rather large retailer in town that had received multiple complaints over several weeks. I went in there. I just looked around for a while before talking to anyone. And in fact, they were doing an excellent job of really trying to not only adhere to the spirit of the law, but to the letter of it. I got in touch with the manager. We walked through it all together. He was as concerned as certainly as I was that he'd been receiving complaints. He made a few additional adjustments. And in fact, I thought his attitude was excellent. We also delivered some more PPE to their location, and they were very appreciative of it. It was really nice to see that kind of an attitude because we have a number of other businesses that are simply in the position where they are saying, if we don't keep our doors open, we're going to be out of business. And it is a tough situation out there. So it really falls on both sides of the fence. We have people really trying to cooperate. We have people simply not wanting to and trying to maintain their livelihood. So I know this question and this issue will continue forward, and I know Sherry will continue forwarding her emails to us, which are actually they're excellent. Sherry, thank you. But it does give us the ability to start to really focus on who are some of the problem businesses and try to work with a number of them to create some additional opportunity. I did talk to staff today because we still have a number of yoga studios that are doing indoor classes, and did talk to them about the opportunity to go into our park, in our park preserve, and opening it up a bit more than we already have to the small classes and allow there to be multiple classes in different parts of the park. And so staff is going to start to work on expanding that next week and offering that up to try to get those businesses out of their buildings and still doing something productive with their clients. I know next week there has been a proposal from downtown that they would like to look at closing Lincoln, at least one side of Lincoln. I know the mayor and city staff will be meeting with the downtown folks to start to go over the details of that. I think once, if I have this right, April, it sounds as though once you come to an agreement with staff on how it could work, then the DBA will move it through all the businesses in the area and to see if they can get their support. Got it. Good. Very, very good. Also have another request for restaurant expansion. This one is with Tap and Vine. They've requested that they can move tables out to the clock tower area. Something we hadn't really thought of to any great extent. We're kind of milling that over right now. Frankly, it would be nice to hear from the council if they would be in general supportive of that kind of activity. There's no one else really within the proximity who could use that as well. And I think what we're going to continue to see are more and more restaurants getting more innovative and trying to find how they can effectively work in the space around them. And this is just one of those examples of another business trying to creatively use the space around them. And I would love to hear from council if you do have any comments on that now.
Thanks, Bob. I just wanted to bring it up to this group. While we've opened our parks to yoga and while we've expanded outdoor dining, we have not technically, the city has not actually issued any permits to use a city park. And technically, the clock tower is a pocket park. So just wanted to make sure that, we were giving that if the city staff has the ability to do it, but just making sure that there's some red flags or concerns that we discuss it out here. So sorry to interrupt you, Alice. Looked like you had a comment or question, so go ahead.
I was just going to say that, just a quick overview, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea as long as there would be some traffic flow through that area, just so that they didn't close off the area for pedestrians. That would be my main stipulation, that somehow the tables just ensure that there's a thoroughfare to ensure walkability.
Got it.
Sandy, am I right? Yeah, personally, I think it's a great idea. I think it gives visibility to our dining in the city of Auburn. And I was walking through there again yesterday, and there seems to be a lot of room if people wanted to also utilize it and sit on the sides. There's plenty of room. So I think I would be very supportive of this.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
I'm of course very supportive of outdoor dining for all the restaurants. I am a little concerned that we're going to get in a position of one restaurant in one park and then another restaurant wanting to come to the same park and then another restaurant wanting to come. So we might have to limit how many tables each restaurant can have at that park, and have some sort of we're going to have to be open about facilitating more than one restaurant there at that park, because I could see that happening to some of the other restaurants wanting to come down there. But I'm all in favor of it. Hey, put tables and chairs all up and down. I don't care. Just so the businesses can stay open.
Great, thank you, Cheryl. Matt?
I also am in full agreement. I was going to mention the same thing that Councilwoman Mackey just mentioned. We need to make sure that we're being fair about the space and make it open to all restaurants who want to take advantage of these little pocket parks and the opportunities that we're going to provide to them. So fully supportive though.
Great, thank you for that. Yeah, I think, when Bob and I had this initial discussion related to their permit, all of those concerns, walkability, as well as equity, which was an important part of the conversation when we had the request for Herschel Young Park several years ago. I think in the Clock Tower Park, though, there's really no other restaurants that are within really a serving distance from that location. But I think it does kind of open the waters a little bit. And so what happens maybe in Old Town or some of the other parks, we just have to now kind of continue to keep an eye on. But what I'm hearing then, Bob, is that the city can move forward as city staff would like to review that permit and issue it. And if we have concerns that come after, if you just choose to approve it, we can always fine tune those in the future. Rob, did you have a comment as well?
Well, I was just gonna, is that a viable space for like Royal Thai there, do you think? Or is that too far away, in your opinion?
I think that's too far away. And Royal Thai is working right now with the DBA and working for outdoor dining as we speak. I think April, they look like they're already open.
Muted.
You're on mute.
It's Royal Indian who's working on adjacent to Club
Oh,
Card. The-
Royal Thai, excuse me, across the
Yeah.
way. Yes.
Royal Thai does have its patio that
It-
has some seating anyway. So, but yeah, Royal Indian will be going out in the parking spaces next week.
So is the DBA, Bob, looking at doing something similar to what Grass Valley did, which is have seating on both sides and sort of one lane down the middle? Is that the thought?
So I did
on
ask,
that?
sorry, I did ask April, when we get into the business district reports, I did ask April to kind of talk about the concept of what they're
Okay.
looking at. Again, it really is conceptual, but in a little bit, April, maybe you can expand, what you're thinking. And again, as Bob laid out, the city staff will meet with DBA next week to kind of start fleshing out to make sure there's a strong proposal, which then can go to the businesses and then to the council if it needs. So
Yeah, perfect.
take a few steps. So yeah, well, let's come back to that item.
Yeah, currently Tap and Vine is setting tables up at the clock tower. They're setting up tables how they would like to see them, as well as delineators, so staff can head on up there about 3:30 to eyeball it and see if it works or if they want to make any changes to the proposal itself. So with that, I think that is our report for this week.
Great, thank you. Cheryl.
I just have one question. What happens, Bob, if somebody wants to sit there at Tap and Vine's tables and eat their sandwich that they got at the deli, or, you know, something like that? Is there going to be kind of a, you know, a push and pull on that?
You know, we have told all the restaurants that they need to comfortably manage all these unique situations as best they can. And we've talked to, I believe, all of them about, at least except for the last two that have opened up, we've talked to them about those kinds of situations, and that they need to be as flexible as possible as well.
Mhm.
So we're all in uncharted territory. And so what we've seen so far is pretty much everybody's playing ball and trying to make things work as best they can. I don't have problems out there with messes. They're cleaning up after themselves. They're picking up their tables and chairs at night. They're doing what they need to do to keep things functioning well. They also have things, in most cases, well manned and staffed. So fortunately, we haven't run into those kind of problems yet, but we have discussed them early on. And we said, and it's in all the paperwork, we can revoke these or alter them at any time. And it's really up to them to work with us and let us know if they're experienced problems, so we can all put our heads together and continue on figuring out how to make things work comfortably.
Good, thank you.
I can add a little too, if you'd
Yeah, go
like.
ahead, April, please.
Because VBA did early on buy the 20 two-top bistro sets that are for common use. They're in Central Square, they're in the Art Park. We have them outside on some of the sidewalks that have room. So I think if it did become a problem with the dining area that Tap and Vine were to set up, some of those two tops can go into the other areas close by. Oh, and we also have some in front of the bodega and kids closet. So they are spread around where they're open for use by anybody.
Great, thank you for that addition, April.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions from anybody for Bob related to not just the use of the clock tower, but any of the items that the city's doing? Okay, great. Not hearing any. Let's jump into, I think, the most important item this week, Sherry, and that is the Placer Shares program. So as we discussed last week, the county did establish a grant program. I put aside $8 million for both local businesses and nonprofits. And so I've invited Sherry Conway, who's the director of the county's economic development department, and who has been working very closely with myself, city manager, even the chambers throughout the last several months. So Sherry, I'll turn it to you and let you kind of talk more about what the Placer Shares program aims to do and how our businesses can apply. And you are on mute. There you go.
Sorry. First wanted to say thank you for inviting me, Daniel, and apologizing to Bob. You know, our office, for whatever reason, has become the place for what we call community concerns. We're not calling them complaints. And because obviously the county does not have jurisdiction within any of the incorporated city boundaries, I just share those with you all. So apologies to Bob, and good job for having good, positive conversations to support our businesses. And I've got tons of PPE if you need more. So you just let me know. I'm sitting on 2 warehouses of hand sanitizer. So I don't know why, but we're drowning in hand sanitizer. So on July 28th, to Daniel's point, the Board of Supervisors did authorize us moving forward with what we are now calling Placer Shares, and that is using a portion of the CARES Act funding that the county is expecting to receive Being one of the smaller counties in the state, we have not actually received our full allocation of 41 million. The larger counties over 500,000 in population did receive their one check back in April. So I think it's unfortunate that we're getting doled out these monthly increments. We just received check number 1. Reminds me of when my kids were young and they used to get an allowance, you know, they only got an allowance if they did their chores. But anyway, $8 million to our research seems to be the largest percentage anywhere in the state that we could identify of any county that was earmarking a portion of their CARES Act funds to prop up a small business grant program. So I do think our board is being incredibly sensitive to what our businesses who are in crisis right now are going through. And so it's a generous allocation. And there could even be a second round, who knows? But for now, of that 8 million, they've authorized 7 million to be allocated and earmarked to small businesses, with 1 million toward our nonprofits. And I just want to say something quickly about nonprofits. We all know, and many of you serve on nonprofit boards, we know during times of economic distress that the pressure and demand on our safety net services, many of our area nonprofits provide, think food and shelter and daycare. The toll on our safety net service providers really increase when the economy is in crises. So while it is really important that our small businesses receive some support, we know as small businesses close their doors, and we've seen it already, the demand for those safety net services has a corresponding spike. And so 7 million for our businesses, 1 million for our nonprofits. I do think the skeleton of the website went live yesterday. We're building it as we speak. So the eligibility criteria will launch, as well as we have a kind of an FAQ. Sorry, I'm getting all these messages on my screen. A nice robust FAQ, so folks can go in long before that application window opens and determine if they're going to qualify. That application window opens on August 25th, and I do want to say, for any of your constituents and anyone else who's on this call, this is not first come, first serve. We do not want our portal to crash on August 25th. So I would beg people to use the full 2 weeks to take their time to get their applications in, so that we don't find ourselves in the position that the SBA did when some of the CARES Act funding was first released. What else can I say? Grants will be between $5,000 and $10,000, depending on how many employees you have. 9 or fewer employees will be eligible for that $5,000 limit. 9 and above, up to 50, will be eligible for a $10,000 grant. These are grants, not loans. The last thing we want to do is saddle our businesses who are in crises with more debt. That would not be good. We're really looking at data to support the criteria of those targeted sectors that are in that have been most impacted. So think about back when the governor was doing stage 2 and 3 and 4 of the roadmap, those sectors that really were closed the longest, who have been the hardest hit, including, now that we are back on the monitoring list, those businesses who were only able to open for about 2.5 weeks before they shut down again. Of course, that's indoor dining, personal services, hair, nails, all of that, that right now cannot operate at all. Unless they're creative and figure it out how to do that outdoors. And kudos for yoga in the park. But we know that the demand is far likely to outstrip the supply. 8 million sounds like a lot of money. We have over 15,000 business establishments in Placer County. And even if you were to take those that would not be eligible based on the criteria that you'll see on the website soon, still probably can deliver between 800 and 1,600 grants. So out of a total of 15,000 businesses, only a few will actually be awarded. And that is heartbreaking. And the calls that come in to my office and my staff every day, and I know that you all as electeds are getting these same calls. Folks are losing livelihoods every day. 95% of the businesses in Placer County employ fewer than 50 people, which means these are very small family-owned establishments that are in crises, that are struggling. And so the Placer Shares program hopefully is a bridge, to a better day. But we also recognize it may not be enough, and it may not be soon enough for a lot of our folks. Our timeline by county government timelines go is pretty quick. We will open the application window, as I said. It will close on September the 8th. We'll take the remaining couple of weeks in September to sort through the applications, both on the nonprofit and the business sector side, to determine eligibility. The ones that are eligible for the business sector side will go into a lottery so that it's an equitable, even playing field, so that we don't end up with, businesses being, prioritized over the others. The nonprofit pool will be actually looked at by our nonprofit partners that we've engaged, Placer Community Foundation right here in Auburn, and the Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation in Truckee, to help us identify, again, those eligible nonprofits that provide those safety net services, in addition to our chambers and our downtown associations. A little plug here, because I know my friend Allison is on the call. We know from the CARES Act funding, particularly the PPP first round, 501c6s were left out of that, were not eligible. So we wanted to make sure that as a part of the Placer Shares program, we could also support our business organizations and downtown associations who are so vital to help and provide those valued services to our businesses. And so with that, maybe I'll be quiet and happy to answer any questions any of you might have.
Great, thank you. Cheryl, go ahead.
Yes, hi, Sherry.
Hi.
I was under the understanding, I heard something about the Sierra Business Council was going to be managing the grants. Is that true, or is?
That is true. I probably should have mentioned that. I've administered grants in my career, and administering $8 million of grants with my 2.2 staff members would be not attainable. We work with the Sierra Business Council already. They deliver the SBDC services that we offer through the Placer Business Resource Center. So we have a long-standing relationship with Kristen York and her team. So I reached out to Chris early on when it looked like our board was going to be interested in earmarking a portion of the CARES Act funding. And so they are uniquely positioned to administer the small business portion. So that $7 million will be administered through SBC. And then they will subcontract to the two community foundations, so that everybody is sort of in the wheelhouse that they have that most expertise at. The platform and the portal to the applications will be on Placer County, but the applicant will enter and then be redirected to one of those 3 contractors that we're partnering with.
Got it. Thank you. That makes
Good,
sense.
good question, Cheryl.
Additional questions? Okay, not seeing any. Sherry, you had mentioned the website. I know you said it was a skeleton site at the moment. Can you give us that address and
Yeah, it is placer.ca.gov/shares. Easy peasy. What we should see added to it in the next, probably by Monday, are those robust FAQs. We'll have the priority matrix that we worked with the Sierra Business Council to identify those first and second tier priority business sectors, so that businesses, even though the application window won't open for a couple of weeks, folks should be able to go in and determine if they're going to meet one of those 1 or 2 priorities. Again, thinking about our hair salons and our yoga studios and our restaurants that cannot offer that outdoor dining. So the FAQs, the eligibility matrix, Eventually, we'll have the application portal on there so folks can look at the types of financial information that they will be required. So they will have to have one of 4 documents in order to be eligible. So it's a bank statement, it's a 2019 tax return. There are a couple of others, a business license. And one of the benefits of contracting with the Sierra Business Council is that they are in a unique position to keep all of that data confidential, where the county would not be able to provide that guarantee. And I know it's very important for our businesses now more than ever that their data remains secure and not in the hands of folks that, it shouldn't be. So having that capability vis-a-vis our partners is going to be key to keeping people feeling secure about applying for these funds and keeping their financial information confidential.
Sure. When do you expect to actually be able to award the grants?
Great. The timeline is pretty tight again by our standards. So the first week of October, we expect to see checks get cut. And
Great.
checks
Okay.
will be issued by one of our 3 partners as opposed to Placer County. So businesses will receive their checks from the Sierra Business Council and then our nonprofits from one of the 2 community foundations. So fairly quick, but we're already hearing, and I'm already getting calls that that's not soon enough. And that's the reality. You all are hearing the same thing. That's still 2 months away. And we have businesses that can't pay rent today. And our board knows this and has really made it clear they expect us to keep to this timeline, and partnering with these organizations will help us because they are experts at this. This is not something we do every day. Obviously, nothing of what we do right now is normal. So I feel like we are well partnered to get this money out quickly to the folks that need it most. But please spread the word through all of your channels that this is coming, because I don't want to find that we didn't reach every corner of the county and that, after the fact, someone who would have been eligible didn't hear about it and it was too late. And so we really will rely on all of you as our partners to the county to help spread the word that this is coming. And robust social media and press releases are on the way as well. But feel free to call me, any of you, if you have questions about the eligibility. We're relying on the SBA's guidelines to determine who is ineligible. And so we will post those on the website shortly so that folks know right up front that they qualify and they can move forward with the application.
Sherry, do you know if either you or your staff or even the Sierra Business Council are planning any types of workshops for interested parties to learn more? Is there going to be some avenues of actual one-on-one, or is it really the website and the main source for people to find out?
No, they're doing a series of webinars, both the community foundations and Sierra Business Council. They're doing a 24-hour hotline that'll go live both in English and in Spanish. They're doing a series of webinars, workshops. I'm doing a number of these types of calls. I'm working with Supervisor Gustafson and some of the other board members to do town hall type meetings, since we're not having MAC meetings right now. So as many different conduits of getting information disseminated is going to be really critical to making sure, because you have to put yourself in the position of your small business owner right now. They're in crises. They're not watching our website for updates. They're not necessarily looking, right? They are busy trying to keep their business afloat. So the chambers will be really critical in helping us spread this word, particularly for those businesses who are chamber members. I will tell you, we're partnering with the Latino Leadership Council and the Sierra Community House up in Kings Beach to help us reach our Latinx community business owners who may not be members of area chambers. So we're recognizing that chambers are wonderful places to get messaging out, but we don't want to stop there. We want to reach even beyond that.
That's great. Well, I'll reach out with Jackie and maybe have some discussions of a town hall meeting for our businesses that we can invite you to, that's Auburn centric, to try to continue to get this message out.
South
directed
Placer
to them.
Chambers did something similar last week.
Okay.
So if you'd like that, I'm happy to oblige. That would be great.
Yeah.
We could even get the Sierra Business Council and Veronica Blake from Placer Community Foundation to join if that works for their schedules, so that you've got the experts right there in a town hall meeting.
That's great. Okay. Yeah, Jackie, go ahead.
I do have a question. Are you going to have any graphics or flyers that we can e-blast out and get out to our members? Is that something that's coming?
It's very much coming. So digital as well as hard postcard mailers. So as soon as we have those developed, our hope is to shoot them out to each of the chambers, downtown associations, business associations, as well as the cities, so that you can get them out through your channels as well. Yeah,
Perfect.
we've got a great graphics design team as well as our public information and communications team. So it's a little bit of a struggle right now because a lot of this is in development because the board just took action on the 28th, but we can't wait to start messaging, right? We have to start to spread the word now, even though we're doing all the back end stuff concurrently. I believe by next week, we'll have a lot more developed to share with you all publicly, so that yes, we will rely heavily. And nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you too.
Fantastic. Any other questions for Sherry? Okay, Sherry, thank you so much, and appreciate you taking the time this afternoon. I know you are a very, very busy woman, and you'll definitely hear from Jackie and I and maybe some others about a town hall meeting for our businesses. So
I think that would be a great idea, Daniel, and I'm happy to bring my partners into it. I know we're doing one up in North Lake Tahoe next week
Okay.
for the basin community. So I think the more that we can do throughout the county, the better positioned we'll be for success. So thanks for the invite today, everyone.
Great, thank you again. Okay, let's move on to our next item, which is our business personal protective equipment. I don't know if Bob or Jackie wants to kind of lead us off on where we are and where we're going with some of the PPE.
I guess I will. I was over there today with Amy, distributing what we had. There is quite a bit still there. I understand that the new shipment we got in has some different stipulations, which I haven't gotten yet. But I will say there is plenty of hand sanitizer. Sherry said she was sitting on a whole warehouse full of it, and that's definitely close to what we have down there. The masks seem to be running a little bit lower, but we still have plenty left. But if anybody needs hand sanitizer, we are swimming in it.
And Jackie, businesses that are interested can contact the chamber?
They can contact the chamber. They can go to auburnchamber.net/PPE survey, I believe.
And are you guys continuing to try to set aside one day, and is it consistent through each week, which day that distribution occurs at? Or is it just whenever you have enough material?
Yeah, it's definitely at least one day a week. It's kind of been, as far as I know, it's been switching up a little bit to make it easier on people that can't come during that certain time. When they are bigger chunks of people needing it, we do set up more than one day. And then I know that Amy is willing to do it for people that can't come. They can set up an appointment and meet with her to get it. And I actually delivered some today because I knew who they were and knew that they couldn't get out. So I took some to a business today so they could get it.
Great, okay, thank you. Any questions for Jackie on the PPE? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you, Jackie. Actually, we'll just continue with Jackie for the Auburn Chamber of Commerce report.
We are working hard. This is my first official week in the office, so I am figuring out where everything is in this fantastic chamber and this fantastic building that I get to share with Mr. Haswell. Even though we are sharing a wall. I haven't seen him yet. I actually just got a visit from Mr. Reese Browning right before this meeting, and he and Don Alis are working on a outdoor food pavilion at the fairgrounds. It's still in the very infancy of putting it together, but he asked me to be on board with that. Not only with my hat with the chamber, but my hat with the Heritage Foundation. So look for that in the near future, trying to get some of the local businesses to be able to serve food out of their, where they serve food at the fair. So it gives them a little bit more exposure, gives them the outdoor dining, and utilizes our beautiful fairgrounds at the same time. So we're working on that. We're working on PPE, all kinds of good stuff.
Jackie, are they looking at doing that at the same time as the current farmer's market out there? do you
They
think?
are actually talking about doing it every day from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. So it would be anybody could come out, any restaurant could come out, any farmer could come out, not vendors, definitely just be focused around food. He would put all the tables out there and spread them apart. And the rent would be really low. They talked about doing $25 a day per space just to get it. I mean, OTP said they would for sure be out there. I know that they've talked to a couple different restaurants that are interested just to be able to get their food out to people and be able to sit and enjoy food all during the day. And then when they do end up doing the second drive-in weekend, they'll shut it down for that. But other than that, they plan on being out there for the most part from 11 to 8 is what I understand.
Any other questions for Jackie for the chamber? Okay, Jackie, thank you very much. We'll move to our business association reports, and why don't we start with Old Town and Ms. Nina Salerno. Nina, how are you doing?
All right, I just unmuted myself, sorry. Old Town is due. We have our second meeting of the new board this coming Tuesday. As you know, we decided not to close a street because everybody felt like they had enough outdoor seating. I spent time down here this weekend, and it's kind of neat to see that it's still really busy and hopping. We're talking about doing some stuff around Old Country Christmas or Classic Christmas, whatever it's called, and more scale back, and it may be more just promoting our businesses, having them stay open late. Hopefully we have the light parade happen to come through there. I know there's been, Drew's been talking to the chamber about that. And congratulations to April, who just got president. She and I have emailed back and forth about doing something consistent for the Christmas time down there, and between Old Town and downtown, and I think that would be really, really good for businesses. And then the only other thing I have is just what I was going to remind you guys of is we started that concept of noshing for nonprofits to help out some of the local profits. It's $25 a meal. So this Thursday will be the first one, August 13th. It's going to benefit the senior centers with Tri-Tip Thursday. So you get Tri-Tip mashed potatoes, roasted vegetable salad, and bread. And you can either stay at social distancing and eat, or we're going to have that you can drive up, pick up, and take home. The 27th, it's going to benefit Healing Pastures at Seaforth Ranch. September 10th is going to benefit Young Life, and that's going to be given my husband a New Orleans type meal. It's going to have some jambalaya and gumbo. And then the final one is going to be, instead of having the rib cook-off, we're having a mini rib dinner, and that'll benefit Crime Victims United. So if I can send this to you, Jackie, at the chamber, if I can send you a flyer, it's going to be in the paper this week too. We can get that out. I just really want to try to help these nonprofits that have been hit so hard. And Old Town is very, very supportive of it. They're very excited, and we're just going to start looking at some creative things to do.
Great, thank you, Nina. Looking forward to coming out on Thursday to support your first nonprofit fundraiser. And I'll just echo and welcome April Maynard, the new Downtown Business Association president. I was just thinking with Nina and April now, what does it say when we have two attorneys who are running our business association? So obviously there's still a lot of legal business, but very appreciative of April's efforts. And so April, I'll turn it to you to kind of update us on your nonstop Energizer Bunny work that you are doing in the BBA.
Well, thank you. I hope people have seen the enclosures that we have installed both for Trey Potsy and with Daniel's and Alice's help for a club car. We have materials coming in to do the same for Royal Indian right next to Club Car, and Taqueria Herradura is working on a platform to level this parking spaces in front of their store so they can have their own outdoor dining as well. So that's a fun thing we're doing, and we're trying to make it look cohesive and attractive and consistent. As was mentioned earlier, we have been looking at proposing making that block of Lincoln Way between Cherry and Hillmont one way downhill, with first phase to be a simple change. So basically it would be striping, but it's a really tight fit, and with the outdoor dining extended, we want to make sure it's safe and comfortable. And eventually, we're also thinking, there's been some talk about the fact that in the future, businesses that involve, well, about anything, but certainly serving food, is going to want to find outdoor spaces when they're looking for to lease new spaces or buy buildings or whatever. So we're trying to think creatively, because we don't know like how long this spell will last, but that businesses will probably have that in mind in the future, that they would want adjacent outdoor space. So we're looking at some ideas about extending the sidewalk and doing some planning around that. But first, we hope that maybe the businesses will see the wisdom of having the Lincoln Way block be one way, and then directing to parking that's really available right behind that stretch of Lincoln Way on both sides. So that's kind of our action now. As I said, we put up the bistro sets. That's been about a month now, but those are still available for shops that need to have some outdoor waiting area and just some fun. And the umbrella structure at Art Park, there was concrete was poured this week, and the iron part is being constructed, fabricated off site. So that will be installed hopefully within the next 30 days. I think it'll come together quickly once the iron part gets there. And as Nina said, we had a board meeting this week and reached out to Old Town and the Chamber and Don Ailes at the fairgrounds about doing some kind of really comprehensive holiday presentation, because we know that it might be very different, and convening in large groups outdoors and all might be limited. So we're thinking of just having really go all out on window displays and a unified, lighting perhaps throughout the districts that are, it's, not elaborate, but that is a consistency, so that really ties together all the business districts in the central part of Auburn. And I haven't heard back on whether the Maple Street billboard will be available in the holiday area. So we could do another one of the joint billboard. You saw the one that was open safely for business that was up for about a month or so. So we'd like to have maybe that available again, so that all of Auburn, because all the business districts join together on that, to have that one message to take your shopping and dining to Auburn. So I think that's about it.
Great. Thank you very much, April. I know we're all looking forward to discussing more of the one way. Yeah, Cheryl, go ahead with any questions you have for April.
Thank you. Yes, congratulations, April.
Thank you.
Welcome to the fray even further. I wanted to ask you, how many donations have you gotten for the umbrellas? Has that been well received?
So generous. It's really amazing. Lori Tompkins reported that we're just under $17,000 contributed. Yes,
wow.
It's amazing. It's
wonderful.
Fabulous. Yeah,
Glad
it's
to hear that.
Such an awesome Auburn step up. It was just, we were really excited.
That's good.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for April?
April, I just want to commend you guys for what you're doing too, and congratulations for taking over. It's I thought the look in front of the club car is really great. I took pictures of it. We talked about this on one of our internal team meetings about really starting to look for places in county and obviously in particular in Auburn that are coming up with solutions that are creative and also aesthetically pleasing, because ultimately that's a big part of it, I think, because as we shift from, not kind of understanding if this is going to be over in 6 weeks to kind of feeling like it's going to be here for a while, the winners are going to be the ones that dig in on it, so, and then you have a challenging space, obviously. So it's great to see it. And, it's a big initiative of ours to start really trying to find content around those types of solutions. Just great job. And, I
Thank you.
hope it continues.
Thanks.
Yeah.
One other thing I forgot to mention that we've been working with the city on for a while. It kind of got stalled when COVID dropped in our lap, but East Placer Park is there on the corner of East Placer and High Street, kind of has a long-term reputation for being kind of dicey. That was one of the projects for the Volunteer Community Service Day. And we're working on refurbishing it. The Downtown Business Association has allocated some funds for getting new plantings in there, new benches, and resurfacing the brick raised planters that are pretty sad looking with something. And we're working in conjunction with the ceramics department at Placer High School. The students are going to be creating some relief tiles that are in the flora and fauna of the area. So then hopefully a lot of the high school folks will kind of take an ownership in that spot and see their work there and support keeping it to be a refurbished and kind of more friendly little woodland retreat there that should be done by, we're hoping, early October.
Great. Thank you, April, for your
Yeah.
report. Appreciate it. Rob, we'll go ahead and turn it to you for Visit Placer.
Yeah, so I kind of touched on kind of some of the stuff that we're rolling out in terms of our immediate direction around here. Obviously, we've hit the brakes pretty hard on promoting visitation. We just really feel like it's not appropriate to try to draw, especially because so many people are coming anyway. So what we're really focusing on now is gathering content, just as I had mentioned earlier when I was talking, to April, trying to find, the outdoor, all the movements that businesses are making, the flexibility to try to draw attention to those efforts, because there's still, I think, a gap between what residents and visitors know to be open and accommodating compared to what really is. And, we comb Instagram and all this stuff to find pictures. And, what the thing we noticed is not a lot of people do a really great job of trying to take good pictures of their new spaces or things they're doing. Or if they, if you're a yoga studio, if you're get somebody to take a nice picture in the park, these are kinds of things that we're trying to promote. So we've actually hired a photographer firm to kind of go around county, get stuff, show the activity, show the new development, because I think that's a great place for us really to dig in right now, is to educate those that follow us on our various platforms, as to what is going on interestingly. So it's again, every time we think we've got a plan in place, it switches a little bit. But I think what we do know now is that we're in for a much longer haul here in terms of how this is going to play out. So, we want to highlight the businesses that are really doing a great job. And there's several in Auburn. It's super cool to see, super good to drive through now and see people in comfortable dining areas. I mean, the Tre Pace solution looks very European-ish to me, and I think, that notion of it being experiential again versus just a place that you can sit because you don't want to be in your house for the 185th straight day. Now you can kind of go out and have a good dining experience. So that's kind of what we're doing. And, it's every day is interesting. So, hopefully, it'll get better sooner rather than later.
Yeah, appreciate that, Rob. And definitely, if you walk by Tre Pazzi or eat there, it is no different than eating in Italy at a cafe
Seriously.
that's tucked away in an alleyway. So it does kind of give you the full
Yeah.
feeling of being in Italy without the humidity and the price tag for flying. So
Well, and I'm super hopeful that, I know the worry about, downtown is that we don't already have that, that sort of flashpoint of foot traffic. But hopefully, and one of the things we're going to try to do is, if people, I want to put the old Field of Dreams in play, hopefully if you build it and I always say if you build it, promote it, market it, hire some stuff, get the word out, they may come, so I'm hoping that they do.
for sure. So, okay. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate that. Any questions for Rob? Okay. Well, that then will conclude this portion of the workshop. I am planning, unless some other issues come up, that we will hold off for a meeting for 2 weeks, which would put our next meeting at Friday, August 21st at 2 p.m. Of course, if something comes up in the meantime, we can always pivot and get something on the calendar. But I'll be working with Jackie and then reach out to the rest of the whole group here related to the town hall meeting for our businesses to educate them on the Placer Shares program. So more to come on that. So we do have one more item here on our agenda. So if you will continue to join us, item number 3 here is mayor's commendation. So if you had not heard, today is City Manager Bob Richardson's last day. He retires, and Bob, you're probably counting, but 1 hour and 55 minutes from my clock here. So, exciting day for sure. So Bob, I actually have for you, and I'll be bringing it over to you later, but an actual accommodation that kind of recaps your history here in Auburn and some of the successes that you've had. So if you would oblige me, and since you're on our dime for the next hour and 55 minutes, I know you will. So I'm going to read with everybody a little bit of background of Bob. So the accommodation reads, whereas City Manager Bob Richardson started his career with the City of Auburn in February of 2003. And whereas after a 3-year stint with the City of Grass Valley, which Bob, we don't blame you for, but Bob Richardson returned to the City of Auburn as our city manager in January of 2017. Whereas City Manager Bob Richardson held the City of Auburn's top administrator position for a collective 14 years, where he was responsible for hiring employees, participating in negotiations, bringing reports to the council for policy decisions and other management duties. And whereas Bob Richardson's financial accomplishments include revamping the city's financial system, increasing city revenues, recruiting the city's largest sales tax generator, as well as leading the city through the Great Recession. And whereas Bob Richardson was heavily involved in volunteer efforts, including the successful Project Auburn, a series of volunteer events where 17 houses were renovated and improvements were made at the State Theater, Carnegie Library, and in Old Town. There's a few more, Bob, so hang in there. Whereas Bob Richardson led numerous redevelopment and capital improvement projects, including the Streetscape Project, Downtown Central Square redevelopment, bringing, as well as enhancements at the Auburn Airport and our wastewater treatment plant. And whereas Bob Richardson worked hard to promote Auburn through films that he filmed and even edited, in his support for marketing Auburn as the endurance capital of the world, as well as being a founding member of the Three Blind Mice Productions. And whereas City Manager Bob Richardson retired from the City of Auburn on August 7th, 2020. Now, therefore, I, Daniel Berlant, Mayor of the City of Auburn, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby honor City Manager Bob Richardson for his accomplishments, dedication, and commitment to the City of Auburn. So Bob, thank you for listening to all those whereases, and a heartfelt thank you for all your contributions in Auburn, and we wish you well and give you an opportunity to say a few words for us.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was very kind. I think it's a little inaccurate. We got a lot done, but it was us getting everything done. This has been a wonderful job because I got to work with so many wonderful people and we did so much together. I always had forward-looking councils, always had a community that just loved jumping in. And everything was done as a group, as a team. And I know those roots are still here in Auburn. It's going to continue forward just like that. But I was very fortunate to have Auburn as really the heart of my career, and it has been absolutely wonderful. So all I can say is thank you, Auburn. It has been a real honor for me to get to serve here. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you, Bob. I'll open up to the other council members, see if Matt or Sandy would like to add anything to it. So Matt, go ahead.
Well, Bob, the day's finally here, right? We've been through a lot since I joined the council term and a half ago. It's been a wonderful pleasure working with you, Bob. I was very excited when we were able to bring you back from Grass Valley to get to work with you for a few years directly on the council. You've done a lot of amazing things for our city, and for that, I want to truly thank you. It's been a pleasure. I wish you the best of luck in all your future endeavors, and hopefully we'll still see you around town.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Sandy.
Yes, Bob, might be the newest one, but you are famous to me because your name always came up with the streetscape. And I think Auburn will be forever indebted to you for facilitating that. That's changed Auburn to the better. And I just want to say thank you for all you've done and your energy and your heart that you put into Auburn. And you had your family here, and I know you gave it your all. So thank you, Bob, and I wish you the best of luck and good fortune in the future. And I know you'll do very well wherever you land.
Thank you, man.
Go ahead, Rob.
No, Rob, nothing from you. No.
Bob and I go to all the same restaurants, I think, at the same time. You know, I want to echo, Bob, what Sandy said. I actually think Central Square is going to be the heart. It's going to be a signature, accomplishment that is really going to shape the future of this city, for this township, for the next 50 years. And you had your stand. It was tough. I know it was. And so that was really incredible. But, you know, what I really wanted to talk about was when I remember when we first did our first Symphony in the Park, and, you know, it was quite a deal to get that thing together. And remember Janice Forbes was helping out, and there was a lot of people wanted it to happen. But it was really getting your blessing and your absolute commitment on your team's behalf to make that happen. And it's been until this year, it's been, a signature for a decade. It's really one of the proudest things that I was ever a part of. And City of Auburn, under your leadership, especially in those early years, to be able to feature that park, I just feel like it was I'm so grateful that you were, you absolutely put up not a single hurdle, and actually we're completely and utterly on board. We use the City Hall for the musicians. It's just, it took a leap, and it really, I think, proved what you were saying about Auburn all chipping in, and hopefully that concert will be around for a lot longer. And I'll miss working with you. It was great fun.
It was a pleasure, and I thank you, Rob.
Great, thank you very much, Rob. Anybody else? Well, Bob, again, thank you. Congratulations. We wish you luck, and I will be seeing you here very shortly to sign some documents. But again, today we celebrate you and your accomplishments. And of course, Monday, we will keep moving forward with all these issues, because it does not stop. So Bob, thank you very much. Welcome to being a citizen now of the Auburn area, and getting to take a little bit of a break. So with that, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much, everybody. We will talk with you later.
Thank you all.
Thank you.